basically today I wanted to talk to you about 3 key things that I think are important to think about before you choose the tools that you use with your students. So the first question I think everybody needs to ask themselves when they're about to use technology is think very carefully what your reasons for using technology are in your teaching. There's a couple of sort of rather glib jokes there, but it's just to make the point. So what I'd like you to do is to share your ideas in a Google Doc. Have you got the link to the doc handy there, Jess? If you want to put that into the chat for me, that would be awesome. And I'll go on to the next slide. It'll come up in the chat in a second. And if not, I can find it as well. There you go, great. Okay, so the link there to the Google Doc, that's in the chat. And just write down a couple of words, a couple of lines about why you use technology in your teaching. I put a rather ambitious one, foster engagement, but it could just be because I had to, because of the virus. So that's perfectly legitimate as well. Try not to repeat anybody else's idea. So I'm going to open the document as well and see if it should open up on here. There we go. So wow. Hey guys, you're so fast. How did you get there so quick? Responding quickly to a need that arises so they can self-study. Exactly. And there's so many people trying to type on the document. It's hard not to type over other people, right? I know that. We did something like this with about 800 people, and that was just insane. It was impossible. I mean, you know, whether using a Google Doc with so many people at the same time is practical, who knows? But anyway, we get a nice list of ideas here. Collaborative learning and writing, to have fun while learning. Yay, use technology for fun. I think that's a completely valid reason. I don't know if anybody's writing it, but I also think sometimes if you're teaching teenagers, you need to use some sort of technology to seem a bit cool. I'm saying cool, laughing a lot, really, yeah. Thanks very much for putting in my description of my job, senior teacher. It's the first time I've seen the word senior next to my name. I'm very depressed. But it goes with the grey hair, Jess, so it's fine. Okay, so motivating, engaging, add variety. So there's lots of different reasons because there's no access to pen and paper. Yeah, exactly. Give better feedback. I like that. Okay, so you need to have a specific reason for using specific technology is my point here. Okay, let's go back to the slide. I'm just gonna pause sharing. Feel free to keep writing ideas. Hang on. And the next question I think that you need to think very carefully about is what the technology or the particular tool or the resource that you're going to use, what does it add in your particular context or in that particular lesson or for those particular students? What will the technology add? And some of the answers will be similar to what you've already put, but I think you just need to be clear that it's not only using technology for its own sake, it actually needs to do something extra or do something that you couldn't have done otherwise. And again, a silly joke, I know. Answers to this, can you put them in the Zoom chat? Just write in the Zoom chat for this, okay? So hopefully you can still find the Zoom chat. You may need to minimize the sharing to be able to find the chat. Yeah, there we go. Speed, variety. There's a few answers coming in here. Pace. Oh, yes, I definitely agree with that one. Promote the feeling of being in the same room. Who else in this group of people is getting a bit annoyed with the whole social distancing expression? You know, it's not true. We are not socially distant. We're physically distant, but we're not socially distant. Engagement. Engagement is my pet topic, my precious. Rekindles their minds. I like that. Okay. Differentiated, very nice. See progress over time. That's an interesting one, Ailey. Very nice. I mean, yes, I think that taps into something Sean was saying. For example, in some of the tools he was talking about, I think he said it about Quizlet, that you can keep a record of students. You're recording what's happening in each lesson. Any use of technology will enable you to record either a Zoom session like now, or to just record in documents, etc. And you can watch their progress and go back and look at that. And so can students, which is the best thing. They can actually reflect on their own learning in that way as well. Okay. So I'm looking at screen number 3 at the moment. Let me go to the next screen. There we go. My idea was just possibility to keep classes going in lockdown. And another silly joke. Feel free to borrow all these images. They're from the internet. You know, that big place with all the free pictures. I'm joking, of course, but you need to be careful to always cite images if you share them with other people. But that's quite a nice one. The keyboards of the future will be designed to make sure you get some exercise when you're online. I mean, haha. Okay. So the third big point I wanted to make here, and I'm not actually going to get your input on this, although you can. How many screens do you use? All of them. As many as I can get. Now I've got 2 screens I use, and then I have a laptop and a mobile. TV, no, I'm not watching that right now. I mean, we all use far too many screens, but I do get up and walk around a lot, so that's good. Okay. The next thing to think about when you're deciding on tools, I think, is, and this isn't really a question for you, it's more a reflection for me, and perhaps you can add comments on this yourself in the chat as well, do you need to be synchronous with your students? Do you need to be online at the same time? Or maybe asynchronous is another option sometimes. Okay, now the decision of whether you go synchronous or asynchronous with your students may not be yours alone. It may be implemented on you from your organization. They may say that, you know, you have to be synchronous. And I heard horror stories, I would say, of teachers saying that they just got out of 12 hours of Zoom sessions with their students, practically back to back. And I think that's just insane. And as Sean mentioned, I think it's really important to bear in mind the teachers' needs, and any directors out there, directors of studies out there, need to bear that in mind for their students. I mean, it's great to offer synchronous sessions, but maybe it doesn't all have to be synchronous, and we can put some asynchronous stuff in too. This wasn't specifically because your name's on here, Jess, but I found this 2 days ago on Twitter, and it just made me laugh. And it's exactly how I feel. Jess, are you here? Jess, if you're with us, show us a sign, because you've all got your mics off. So, I mean, I can see some people laughing, which is kind of cool, but it's bizarre. I'm here talking to myself. Yeah, I know your audio right now, I know. But anyway, it wasn't specific. I didn't write this. It's not me, I promise it, but it just made me laugh because it's Jess. Anyway, sorry, back to serious things. Some of the things to bear in mind when you decide to go synchronous or asynchronous, if it's your decision. This particular session is completely teacher, if I'm the teacher, it's completely teacher-centered at the moment, because I'm the one doing all the talking. In fact, in Zoom, I can mute you all. You can unmute yourself, but I can go to the settings, or I think it would be Jess as the host, can actually just mute everybody. So it tends to be quite teacher-centered. And so maybe asynchronous is easier to be more learner-centered. Both are possible. We can do learner-centered in synchronous sessions as well. But you need to be aware of the natural tendency of the particular tool you're using. In a forum, for example, my area of research is asynchronous discussion forums. The clue's in the name, they're asynchronous, but they can also be teacher-centered. If the teacher decides to write to everybody and reply to everybody, then the teacher becomes the center. But by default, they're kind of more democratic and tend to be more learner-centered. But you need to be aware of the tool and what its default settings are likely to lead you to, and then make a decision. How much do you want to do, and how centered on you do you want your teaching to be? Are your lessons about teaching your students, or are your lessons more about testing your students or the particular lesson you're doing? And again, that's going to impact whether or not you're going to choose synchronous or asynchronous. Everything on the internet stays there. So in a forum, for example, in an asynchronous discussion forum, again, it's my pet topic. has been for the last 3 years. In a discussion forum with students, everything's there forever. So it's kind of good for testing and monitoring students' progress over the course. But you can also teach with those tools as well. But you just need to be aware of the differences and the different affordances that the different tools will have. I think you need to reflect a lot on the role of the teacher. That should be a separate bullet point, by the way. But the role of the teacher and the role that you want to have in your students' learning, and who you are and what you are. And again, what Sean was talking about, your identity when you're using technology. And I think this is just, again, reinforcing what you said, Sean. When we go online, it may be that by default, we kind of revert to more traditional methods of teaching and forget about sort of, remember 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when I went to all those conferences and I realized it should all be about the learners. And then suddenly you go online and you forget all that stuff. So it's just a case of remind yourself, what role do you want to play? You're the facilitator, in my opinion, you know, but that's my view. Separate point, shouldn't be on the same line. Productive or receptive skills. Again, synchronous or asynchronous. This will have an impact, whether or not you're working on productive or receptive skills. You can do both. You can do everything online, and you can do everything face-to-face. You can do everything individually, and you can do everything collaboratively. Everything is possible. The technology is out there, but you might have to think a bit harder and work out how you're going to actually structure something. Okay, and you might need to bear in mind other skills students will need. I think, was it, who was saying, was it Gerard was saying he's got a group of learners over 65s. You know, I'm not sure how easy it is for all of the over 65s to do certain things online. My dad's 85 and uses Skype twice a week. I think that's just incredible. But he doesn't get the social or the netiquette of Skype. I don't know about you, but when I'm in Skype, I hate it when somebody just calls me. I usually, or I don't just call people, I write them a message and say, hi, is it okay to call you? Or we make an appointment. My dad doesn't do that, he just calls. So, you know, I turned Skype off today in case he did that, because he might have done that today. So, yeah. You know, it's just a case of making learners aware of the different kinds of netiquette, particularly in asynchronous tools. For example, you guys, my God, I reckon if we did this session 7 months ago, half of us would still have our microphones on throughout the session. We wouldn't have realized, but we're all very aware of that now. And that's just come with practice. Think about the age of your learners. I was thinking more about young learners. If you're going online, think carefully about video and whether or not, you know, your students can share their images. Access to tech. There's a lot of articles out there talking about, you know, students who don't have access to a PC, who don't have access to internet, etc. You need to know about your learners and whether it's okay to use particular tools with them and whether they just can or cannot do it. Okay, and I've put a note there, special needs students. We have at the WOC where I work, we have quite a large group of students with special needs, and that takes extra work and extra time. There's no one size fits all solution, okay? And I just jotted down emotional connection with students. I think that the feeling when we first went into confinement was we have to have Zoom sessions, the students need to see their teachers, so they're emotionally connected. But maybe we're learning and maybe we've learned. And so you can maybe go asynchronous, at least for some of your sessions, to give yourself a bit of a space, a bit of a break. And just don't forget your needs, okay? So try to avoid continuous synchronous sessions. It's really stressful being online and talking to a group of people who maybe smile and then they disappear. And yeah, anyway, you know more than I do. Okay, so let me just move on to the next slide. Let me introduce you to the ECML. The ECML is the European Centre for Modern Languages. It's an organization, if you haven't heard of it before, it's part of the Council of Europe. It's a non-political organization. It's a non-geographically based organization, as in it's based in Europe, but it's not about the 27, or is it 26 without the UK now? I don't know. It's not about the European Union. So there are, I think, 45 or 48 countries involved in the ECML. Not all countries are members, but they can still access the resources. Spain is currently not a member, and neither is the UK, but we're hoping to get them to join again. Now the ECML, I'll give you the website. I think it's already in there. Thank you, Jess. She's put the link to the website in the chat there for you. Please take a little bit of time and look around their website. There's masses and masses and masses of resources, and anything you click, anything you can download, it's there for you to read, for you to take benefit from. But their main areas of interest for language learning and teaching, you can see them here on my screen. I won't read them all out to you, but they have work on CLIL, they have work on early learning, early language learning, young learners, plurilingual education, it's a growing area of projects, sign languages, which I think is fantastic that's in there as well. There's a lot of resources in there if any of you have sign language in your institution. Help for migrants as well. Teacher and learner competencies, there's a lot of stuff in there about the Common European Framework, the CEFA, and the one that's not on here, yes it is, here we go, new media in language education, and that's where we fall. So I work at the WOC, but I was also invited by colleagues at the WOC to take part in a training and consultancy project, which is part of the ECML. It's funded by the ECML. And the name of the group, I'll show you now. The name of the group is ICT Rev, okay? Which is the use of ICT in support of language learning and teaching. These are the members of our team. So there are 3 of us at the WOC. There are a couple of people, Sarah Heiser and Uschi Stickler from the Open University, Martina Empfke from a place that I cannot pronounce. Sorry, Martina, if you're listening. And Aline, who is based in the University of Ottawa in Canada. Okay, and what we do is we go around, we pack our suitcases, well, we used to before March, we pack our suitcases and go to different countries in Europe and offer workshops. And the workshops would be 2-day workshops focusing on using ICT in your language learning and teaching, okay? There've been more than 60 workshops since 2008. You can read the stats there. And so one of the outputs was workshops. And the other, I'll go back to that one in a minute. Oh, come back. No, go back. It's gone too fast. The other output of our project was, I think it started, the workshop, the group started in 2008, and it then got reconvened 4 years later again, and then 4 years later, and it's gone sort of through various stages. Initially, it was mainly about the workshops, and we took tools and we took ideas to different groups of teachers in different countries. But of course, maybe halfway through, people started saying, but we know tools as well. A lot of the teachers said, we know tools as well. We have ideas for tools as well. And so the idea came about to put together an inventory of tools, some of which are suggested by us, but the vast majority are suggested by, but the vast majority are suggested by teachers themselves, using these tools themselves. So let's talk about that. We know, I'm not going to, this is nothing new on this screen at all. We know that we can use ICT and the internet to prepare classes, to communicate with students, to evaluate, to support student collaboration, etc. And all of these other things. We know that this is all possible, okay? But there's just this huge variety of tools. I mean, in Sean, I've already written down 2 new tools to use in my teaching, Sean. Slido, that's coming, I'm having that, thank you. Flipgrid as well. I've heard of Flipgrid, but I didn't realize that, you know, students could easily reply as well, so great, it's another one I know about as well. And so basically, what the inventory does, and I don't know if you've got the link in the chat at the moment for the inventory. Great, the link to the inventory is in the chat. Feel free to have a look already. But the inventory basically is a collection at the moment of just over 140, I think it's just over 140 now. Sorry, dog's coming in. Just over 140 different tools which teachers have used and tried with their own learners. Now, let me just pause sharing and go to the inventory myself and just show you around it. Because like everything, there are a couple of tricks you might want to be aware of. Okay, so resume share. Okay, so if you've clicked on the link that Jess has shared in the chat, it should have taken you to this page. Okay, no, that's the ECML, wrong one. Hold on, it's this one, sorry. It should have taken you to this one. Okay, so hopefully if you on your own screens you're looking at this. And you can scroll down, you can just go shopping, okay? You can do an Amazon and just go all the way down to the bottom and look at the different tools that we've got on here. I think the majority of them are in, I think they're in chronological order, as in reverse chronological order as to when we've added them to the inventory. So the latest one that's been added is Red Circle. It's a podcast hosting platform. Okay, so apart from having a long list of tools, what else can this inventory do for you? First of all, you can actually filter. So you can have a look at the different filter options here. I'd strongly recommend you only ever select one filter. Don't try two or it won't work very well. You select your filter, and I was going to select, I think, game app. If I click on filter, and it will just show the tools which are particularly related to that filter. Okay, so you can see here, I don't know how many of you have come across Genially. I'll click on the entry for Genially, and each entry on our inventory, it tells you what the tool is. It gives you a sort of a brief evaluation, which is our opinion about what you might be used for. You have the link to the tool itself. If there's a video available out there on YouTube showing you how to use it or showing you more clearly what it's about, that's there too. And then you have a few other facts and figures about the tool below. Now, to get on our inventory, tools need to be free. Not 100% free, but primarily free. And then, or if they're the free version, needs to be worthwhile, shall we say? Okay. I believe Padlet is still on our inventory, but as you probably know, Padlet now restricts you to having 3 Padlets. So once you get past your maximum of 3, you have to bump one off and make a new one. But of course, there are ways around that. You just open up 300 emails and you've got 900 Padlets, right? But don't you? I don't know. So basically, the inventory, back to the inventory. All of these tools, we revise them as part of our role in the team. We revise the whole list of tools once every 6 months. Firstly, to make sure that they're still free or that the free version is still worthwhile. If it's not, bye-bye. Secondly, to make sure that the links are still appropriate and still working. And then we add any other tools that people have suggested. Now, how can you suggest a tool if it's not already on here? So you do a quick check to make sure it's not here. And if it's not, then you can go to suggest a tool. So you click on suggest a tool, you type in the website, just give us the URL. If you want to add a comment, you can, but you don't have to. And then you just go through the capture, I'm not a robot thing, and submit. And then that will come to the team. We'll review it and we'll add it onto the inventory if we think it's worthwhile for everybody to see. In fact, we've been contacted by quite a few tool companies themselves, website resource companies, saying, hey, we've got this wonderful tool. And some of them go on there, but others don't because they're not free. Okay, so thank you, Catherine. Yes, the inventory is a fantastic resource. I hope that you were talking about the inventory and not about Genially, although Genially is also a fantastic resource. Okay, all right, where am I? Oh, my screen number 3 has just gone to sleep. Sorry, just waking up screen number 3. Hang on. I think we can go into breakout rooms now. I'm ahead of time. Cool. All right. So let me just close this. Keep the link for the inventory open. Don't close that. And I'm going to give you one more link. Okay. I'm so glad, Erica, that you're going to keep this in your bookmarks. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So let's just spend 10 minutes looking at the inventory in groups. So I've made a Padlet. I do like Padlet. It's so pretty. I'm going to share the link in the chat. I'll do this one just to see if I can. Okay. No, it didn't work. There. No, that's gone to Erica for some reason. Everyone in the meeting. There. Okay. So the link to the Padlet, save the link to the Padlet, and then Jess, I'm going to ask you if you could put everybody into breakout rooms, dividing up 4 or 5 people, as we did with Sean. So in your breakout rooms, what you need to do is open up the Padlet, open up the inventory, choose a tool or 2 or 3, however many you like, and add a post on the Padlet. Say the name of the resource from the inventory. Tell us the context that you're going to use this tool, that you might want to use this tool in. So 65 years old learners, for example, or business students or IT students, whatever. Why do you think this resource might be interesting to use? And what will this resource or this tool add to this particular context? Okay, so it can be a very short little post. Now we're going to go into breakout rooms. I would say 5 to 10 minutes. Let's say 10 minutes. Can
Jackie,
we do
you're going to have to do the breakout rooms because I'm recording. I don't have the time. Okay.
Okie dokie. Hold on. Let me just stop sharing. Otherwise, I'm going to get very confused. Stop sharing. Okay. Back to everybody. Okay. You're going to need to you're going to need to give me powers to do that because I'm not the host. Now we could do this if we can't sort the breakout rooms out.
Sean, can you do it?
I'll yes.
Sean can do it.
Estoy en ello. Okay, there we go.
Hi again.
Hi again.
We seem to have lost our partners in crime now.
Oh, where they might appear. Let's see.
I think they've probably sloped off, to be honest, because it's
right.
a bit of a long day, and
right, okay.
they've seen Jackie talk about this before. She did an internal training session for us.
Oh, I see. Right.
So
it's an amazing resource, actually. I mean, because how often do you think, well, there must be something for that? But you don't know quite where to start your search.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just great, and also it just validates you if you see that the ones that you're using are actually there. It makes you feel a bit better as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, we've got Tim coming in. Okay, great. Now I'm completely distracted with the panic over the breakout rooms about what we're actually supposed to be doing.
Oh no, there we
I've been moved.
Hello,
Hello, Gemma.
good morning. Okay.
Good morning.
Okay.
Okay, so what is it we have to do? Can somebody remind me? So,
We have to choose one of the tools from the inventory. And then decide which context we might use it in, if I remember.
Right. And do we have to write it on the Padlet, Gerard? Is that the idea?
Yes. I think so. We have to.
Has anybody got the Padlet open?
I don't know. Probably.
I've got the Padlet open.
You have.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. Does anybody have a preference about which tool we should use?
I don't know.
Is anybody looking for a particular tool? Is anybody looking for one that we could actually...
Well, we could try Flipgrid. I mean, Sean's very keen on Flipgrid, and it's not something I've really taken up. I mean, he's quite evangelical about it. And I feel like I should use it because he's so keen, but I've never actually dared to do it yet.
Okay.
Is that cheating if we use that?
I think so.
Okay. So if we think about Flipgrid, the idea is what context would we use it in now? I did open the Padlet. I don't know where it's gone. Anyway.
I've got it open.
You have, okay. So what are the questions?
I'll just, so the name of the resource, which is Flipgrid, context and why this resource.
Are you going to type, Gerard, or should I type?
Yeah, I'll type. I'll be the secretary.
What context are we working in? I know Gerard and Catherine are in teacher training. And Gemma, what about you?
I have never used Flipgrid.
Me neither.
Not yet, so I am willing. Okay, so I don't know. Probably with grammar.
Do you have young learners, adults, or secondary?
I have all of them. I mean, you can see that now I'm in my class. Okay, so these are
young learner.
Yes. Well, this one is very young learners. Our dots is like from 1 to 5. But no, these ones that they are coming to school. I mean, now I've got adults. Now I've got adults. But years ago, well, adults, teens, any kind. I mean, for I don't know, for me, for example, teaching online, the most difficult thing sometimes it's grammar. So probably it could be a nice option with Flipgrid. I don't know. Okay.
Flipgrid, what, like recording themselves and then the teacher feeding back on the grammar as a response to the recording?
I mean, let them, because I always have the same feeling that we are teaching them something that they really know, at least at levels, okay? And why not give them the chance to be the teachers? I mean, saying, guys, today you're going, or for next week, you have to prepare the present perfect. Okay, imagine that you have to explain another kind. And do it in, I don't know, providing examples, not explaining grammar. I mean, through examples, through sentences. That's the idea that I'm thinking about. I mean, because grammar is always difficult, and online probably it's more because you haven't got them close. So when they have questions, and this is the difficulty, the challenge. And I think that this could be a nice thing. Make them be the teachers and helping the others. I don't know.
You could contextualize it in a way that it would be logical to use the target structure. For example, talk about your experiences using the present perfect. But the danger is there that the students don't necessarily have to use the target structure, do they?
Yeah.
So,
but I suppose you could get them to be the teacher. You could actually say, you know, you could get them to go off and research a little piece of grammar, and then they do a little presentation on that piece of grammar. So they're not using the grammar, but they're using the language to talk about the grammar. So they're you know, being the teacher, as Gemma says, actually. You know, so when
in a way,
well, you wouldn't say the present perfect, but when do we use the present simple, for example, or something like that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So peer teaching.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, this will be the conclusion. Why not? No, it's yeah, it's a good option, I think.
And then as a response, their classmates could record examples of the target language in context. So short sentences, putting the target language into context as examples to see if they've got it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we could, that would be work for younger learners as well, no?
Yes, I think so. Why not?
Not too young.
Not mine, okay. But at least, well, primary students, I mean, from 3rd to 4th graders on, no, I mean, they learn the structures, they learn grammar, and they don't know if it's because they are not consciously, they talk about the present simple or future form. But if they work with situations and functional language, finally they get it. So
I'm thinking it might be really nice with vocabulary as well, because they could prepare visuals, or they could act out a scene, or they could look into, I don't know, compare and contrast two easily confused verbs, but you know, showing their own visuals. You could do grammar pictures as well with younger learners, couldn't they? They could show that to the screen.
Quite nice for task-based learning as well, you know, so the teacher could go on and do their task. Students watch the task, there could be a bit of input in language if that's the way you see it, and then the students go off and they record, you know, their task.
Yeah.
Could you think of an example, Catherine?
Yeah,
I don't know, making something to eat, making an omelette, or
like, I don't know, inventing a festival. So I would like, so my festival is, the festival that I would like to introduce is a festival, an International Banana Day. Because I think we should celebrate the banana in life.
Why not?
And then they go on.
Absolutely.
They go on to come up with their own festival, you know. You model the task, and you could say why, you could have a poster, you could have things to, you know, and then they go off and they come up with what they think should be a new international day.
So it integrates nice into project-based learning as well.
Yeah, and then they could watch each other's videos and then choose the one that they think is the best.
I've got minions in my head now.
Hey! These yellow guys. Yeah, I think so. Why is it possible? Banana minions? Banana.
I think, Gerard, I think on the Celta, I'm going to use it. I'm either going to use this Flipgrid or I'm going to use the Screenomatic, and I'm going to use it to record how to set up the stage 2 tutorials. Because if you think of how often you talk through these ticky boxes and page 18 and page 19 and 20, and you kind of say the same all the time, and you can anticipate the questions they're going to ask as well. You know, you could actually just do that, and you could, you know, show yourself to 5, circle the pages as you're going through it, give examples. That would be great, and then you just watch the video and they come back with any questions, you know.
Yeah. We were talking about this before now, Catherine, that the initial effort would save you a lot of time down the line if you had that video already prepared. And as Sean said, it's kind of your best version of you.
Yeah.
You know, you on a good day.
Yeah, it could take a long time for that. That's another story.
But imagine if we had sort of mini presentations already recorded, and then if a problem came up in a class, you could just say, okay, then click on this, 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 and this, and you had an inventory of yourself talking about the problem. How many times have I corrected the same mistake in writing?
Yes.
Yeah, and the same present perfect, present simple mistake. No, and you say, okay, I'd like you to watch this for homework and come back or comment on it as part of your homework.
Yep.
You could use it to show trainees how to set up breakout rooms.
You could use it to show me how to set up a breakout room.
Because they struggled with that an awful lot. So I'm just sharing what I kind of wrote in response. So these were the name of the resource, these were the questions. And that's a kind of summary. If you're okay, then I'll just upload it.
Right.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, very good.
I can't actually see it.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can now. Yeah, I can now. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh. So it doesn't upload it automatically then, Gerard?
It doesn't look like it. I've never used Padlet.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Such a long time ago.
It should just, if you click on the screen, it should just appear automatically.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So that's not us, that's somebody different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Powtoon is somebody else.
Okay.
They've not even started recording yet.
Brilliant.
Recording what they've written. Oops.
Okay.
Yeah, they're putting people into breakout rooms. It's like, do you do it automatically, manually?
Yeah. You know, also do you
kind of stuff.
remember to say how many rooms, remember to say if you want a countdown, do you do it automatically? You know, all of that, you know, because
how you can move people from one room to another, how you can join the room.
Yeah, all of that, you know.
I've just found out today, for example, that you can't create breakout rooms if you're the co-host. You have to be the host.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know that now. I didn't know that before.
Is the link in the chat room?
Okay. Well, I don't know if
we're learning every day, so this is
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've been teaching on Zoom since March, basically. March the 15th or 16th, I think we started. But I've never done a webinar or seminar online on it before. So this is a first for me.
No, I think so. I think it's the same. All we are suffering and struggling. So don't worry. I mean, we are learning. Every lesson and every session is a new. I always learn new things. You know, and it's like, well, fantastic. No, something new. It's always nice. Okay, and I think that I am amazed that I have learned lots of things in a short time. No, I don't know you, but from March. And now we are in October.
Yeah.
I have never in my life learned so much.
No. I was saying to Jessica earlier that it's only now after I'm now on my 3rd online CELTA, and it's only now that I'm actually starting to feel a bit more comfortable where I'm not so worried about the technology all the time, you know. So this morning, for example, trainees were asking me for something, and I said, oh yeah, I've got a handout on that. Let me just have a look for it. And I was able to quickly find the handout, share it on the screen,
Yeah.
you know, whereas at the start it was a little bit like, right, I've got everything prepared.
Yeah.
I can't show anything else apart from what I've actually got.
I've just got a message from Jackie saying that Sean has to end the breakout rooms and he's somewhere in a room. So I think we should leave the room and go back to her now.
Okay.
And see if I can find Sean. Okay? So I'm going to leave you.
Okay.
Oh, there's quite a few on there now. Awesome, that's brilliant. Yeah, there's a few posts on the Padlet. We don't need to look at them because you can see them yourself. We were talking earlier about the advantages of being online and so the advantages over face-to-face. One big advantage is that, like, I don't need to sort of put this up on the screen. I don't need to share it because you're all looking at the same thing as me. So we don't need to sort of confirm that. Another great advantage, I think, is sharing links. When you want to share a link with students in face-to-face, you've got to get your phones out and you've got to give a short URL. And here, you just pop it in the chat. And as long as you know people are clicking, then it's one advantage. Anyway, well, let's wait to see when.
Yeah, they have the word list and they have them either in like Word format or PDF. And you
Can you all come back to the main room now?
Yes, please.
I'm being told that we should go in room.
Hi, Jackie. We've lost Sean, and Sean has the control of the universe. This is something that I've learned from today.
I think he went into one of the rooms.
Yeah, I've sent him a WhatsApp, but I don't know. He's probably so busy.
I know.
The message.
Well, suddenly there's a whole lot of posts on the Padlet. I was just saying now it's, you know, I can see people are posting on the Padlet. I know Padlet isn't new. The point here wasn't Padlet. The point was to give you somewhere to write things. And just to sort of, as we wait for people to come back, I mean, we were just talking before Sean went to the breakout rooms. The technology you use has changed massively in the last 7 months because of, you know, that thing, right? And Sean was saying the other day, you know, he'd set up this lesson and it didn't kind of go exactly according to plan. And one student didn't get to the place they were supposed to go. And he said he ended up having a really nice chat with his student for 10 or 15 minutes. And he said, oh, this is why I love teaching, is talking to students. So that's another point. And it's also a teacher need that we need to bear in mind. So, okay, so there's Jackie comes along and says, use forums, asynchronous, yay. But sometimes you just need to have a chat with some students. And I think that's important too. But again, it's, you know, it's like we were told in all of the IH, yeah, I know. It's like we were told in all of the IH conferences. You know,
I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't too.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're just having a bit of a wrap up now. Yeah, we're just talking about what you and I were saying about in the break with your student the other day when they didn't get into where they were supposed to go. Sean said that his student ended up and him just having a chat. And your realization at that point, Sean, was, oh yes, that's why I love teaching, right? Talking to students. So it's all well and good, all of this technical malarkey, all right? But if you still need to have some way of connecting with your students, and you use whatever way is appropriate for your students, for your context, and bear in mind your needs as well. That's my spiel over. Okay, we've got about 6 minutes for questions, for comments and questions. If anybody wanted to ask any questions, or if you wanted to add anything to that, Sean.
Maybe what I can do is I can use a Slido slide to sort of quickly share questions. So yeah,
I had it open, but I lost it. Hang on.
So maybe if you just want to feed the Slido monster.
Is Slido free?
Yes, but I did opt for the. I'm trying out the paid version because for this I wouldn't have been able to. You can only have a handful of a certain number of polls per presentation. So I am paying for the premium version.
That's like Mentimeter. Mentimeter's the same. You can have lots of presentations, but maximum 2 slides. Mentimeter.
Yeah, I hadn't used it's this. I just thought since I'm because even though I didn't actually talk about Slido, I thought I should sort of practice what I preach. So, you know, Mentimeter and the polling features in Zoom mean you're kind of flipping back and forth between different platforms, which is, you know, all these little things create a lot of like sort of, yeah, just distractions.
Thanks, Daniel. Just put a comment in. Okay, so the questions are coming in here. What are your favorite tools that you use over and over? Sean?
It says, what are my favorite tools? Flipgrid. Like I said, I love Google Docs. I think Google Docs, I've got a couple of posts on just about, you know, how to, I think by now everyone knows how to use Google Docs as a sort of your default pizarra, your whiteboard, and then also using subgroups to have some sort of record. And one cool thing, I've done a post about, if you guys want an example, go to my website. I'm sorry to be so self-promoting. There's a tutorial about teaching learners how to proofread using Grammarly and Google Docs. And I talk about the slight differences between them. I don't address some of the problems with Grammarly and its overzealous correction of, it sees passive voices or it corrects things overzealously. I don't address that because I wanted to keep it simple for students.
Can you put the link to your blog in the chat for us?
Yeah, it's betterlanguagelearning.com, but I'll, and so a specific example of something, again, talking about how things kind of cluster together, you see new options, is you get them to write something down to have some sort of record of what they're doing in the rooms, right? And what's interesting is you turn on the proofreading options if it's in English and you get the proofreading, it picks up their mistakes. So they can actually, you don't even like, it picks up like syntax, quite complex syntax issues and recommends corrections. So even if you're not there, they're writing their text, they're taking their notes. I can show you guys actually. This is a dashboard that I've put together on Google Docs. This is something else, just to have visually all of your tools in one place. I create a table on Google Docs. And then I've got a review document, any stuff like stuff I want to, that I don't want to erase completely, but take from the class board. And here is something, this is the example that I got really excited about. Why is it taking so long? Okay, there we go. It's just, I need to be patient. Okay, so you see how, you know, they're, so for example, things like, I'm studying English since, so it picks up, you know, the zero article, okay? And in the video, I talk about how Grammarly, the advantage is that it picks up more or less the same mistakes, although some of the mistakes will only explain to you if you pay for the premium version. But the good thing with Grammarly is it gives an explanation, like let's say dependent prepositions. It gives you an example, it explains the concept of dependent prepositions and gives you further examples. So even though it's not specifically for language learners, it's useful. So, and so like I said,
just talking about the other thing I like about Google Docs, just go back to your Google Doc again, and in the tools you can actually use it for pronunciation practice. Not exactly. You can do dictation. You can dictate onto a Google Doc, and if you can dictate clearly enough, if you can do voice typing and Google can type what, if the students are speaking clearly enough, then I think that's clear enough for me. If Google can understand it, you can use.
But my students, I don't know if you've noticed, my students, I showed them this because I thought of doing, you know, getting them just have Google transcribe what they're saying. Yeah. But it worked for me, and for my students, it didn't.
I think it's, you know, it'll depend on accent, and again, it's something that it's going to keep increasingly getting increasingly better. But it's another option.
But, and if you also want to work on pronunciation, these other, when I was talking about the extension, and there are a number of them, you have to explore them. But this one, I think it's where is it? TTS Reader, I think it is.
Okay.
So,
answers for each member to at least 3 of these questions.
Okay.
Denise 4, I like to dance and spend time with my friends.
Okay.
5, my favorite hobbies are reading and dancing. I dance 2 days a week and I read every day. 9, it makes me happy to spend time with my family and friends and walk with my dog.
Oh goodness, stop. Okay.
I'm studying English since I was 3 years old at my school. 8, My best language is Catalan because I always speak it.
Okay. Now, the other thing is you can also choose accents. If you go, oh God, I don't want my students talking like that. You can, you can get them the more prim and proper. You can get even different types of British, or, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it has a Welsh accent, but it's got lots of options.
Can you get a Cockney accent? Or downtown Southampton. Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
Maybe just Jackie. Yeah. So back to you, Jackie.
I mean, I've been following the Google Moodle wars for years. I'm joking. Huh? I think Google has a lot of tools out there, but I know, I mean, I have colleagues who are very anti-Google. Most things have other solutions. If you don't like Google, you have other solutions. You just need to understand with sharing with Google. Moodle, fantastic platform, but again, you know, you need to pay for the platform. It's free, but you need to pay for the cloud space. But the potential with Moodle is wonderful. The problem with Moodle, the advantages of Moodle are its disadvantages, I always think. In other words, if you try and set a Moodle quiz, there are so many options. It's amazing.
I can't bear Moodle.
I love it because it's, you know, for example, reading comprehension, you can get it done. It can be automatically corrected. Yay, less work for the teacher, just pick up the marks. But you need to know how it works.
Yeah. Now, there's something here that's not maybe something about freelancers. It says, any recommendations? I mean, okay, so hive mind people. So those of you, anyone have an answer to this? This is not something I'm on contract, so I don't know about the more commercial side, but materials bank, maybe using WordPress for materials bank. Any thoughts, people, about a materials bank? I mean, one thing is, a friend of mine was talking about that what happens is, you talk about Moodle, the problem is that we've got too many things going on, and a friend of mine was talking about how, you know, we'll often do something and then completely forget that, and then years later be like, oh, remember that activity I did? And so I would say something just as simple as making it, actually this is a document that I've kind of had it ignored, but was going back to now starting the semester again. And here I'd come up with at one point teaching activities that worked and putting them. I remember I did phrasal verb charades.
Yeah.
And then you can do that. So really, if you guys want to try using Quizlet,
and instead of using a Word document or an Excel, sharing that with the students, you can do this in a site. And on a site, you can have stuff that's visible and less stuff that's invisible to learners. And it looks cool. It's again Google, but it's sort of a nice way to present. I always think Google Sites is a bit like a shop front.
I was wondering, I haven't used Google Sites, but I'm keen to try it.
I like it a lot. I mean, it's connecting to what's in your drive. But you don't have to show everything. You can just put links to specific things, and then other stuff might be personal. But I think to share resources is very handy. Yes.
Just one thing before we come to a conclusion, because we're going over 1 o'clock now. I don't know if you two have noticed, there's been some lovely suggestions popping up in the chat. You know, the suggestion for freelancers, for example, Wakelers. I've never heard of that. Rachel's come up with. Languagetool.org was suggested by Chris Fry. Rachel had a suggestion for a nice idea to highlight text in different colors, depending if it's well, Rachel could explain this better, but green for great, orange for uh-oh, etc.
Actually, this particular teacher used red for red for bad stuff, which is a no-no for me. I can't do that. No. But I think green for good, or great, or whatever.
Hope.
And, yes, whatever. And then another color for maybe something that's wrong, and maybe something then and you could improve. So you could have a grade of 3 things. But I think it's really nice for on a Google Doc working with a one-to-one student.
Or it's like a traffic light on the Google Doc.
That'll do me. Thank you very much. Yes.
Has anyone here experimented with Google Docs again? Trying the idea of like not using lots of tools, but maybe you figuring out all the functions that one tool can accomplish. So, for example, with customize, it's very easy to customize a correction code with Google Docs. So you can have like a shorthand where, like, for example, the 0 article, you know, Latin Romance speakers are always, you know, inserting definite articles. And that's
I found a video explains how to do it if you need.
Yeah, so well, I did a tutorial on my website, which is customizable correction codes in Google Docs. Yeah. And for example, and it connects the idea of, you could even link it to a Flipgrid video. Because you can put that, like it could be 2 or 3 letters that you type, and then it immediately inserts a lengthy comment, and that comment could include a hyperlink to a video that you yourself have done on Flipgrid, for example. And
okay, right. I think because we're 5 minutes past 1 o'clock, it's probably time that we should be drawing to a close now. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you from personal experience that both Jackie and Sean are very approachable. Sean already has a lot of material available on his website, but I'm sure both of them would be very open to messages if you wanted to make an inquiry or ask them. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn.
No, and I'll share my slides.
Brilliant.
So,
okay.
I'll give them to you. And then you can share them, can send them on, please, Jess.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Jackie. And it just remains for me to say that thank you very much to both of them for presenting today. I'm sure we've all come away with lots of really good ideas and lots of inspiration for things that we can do in the future. So I'd like to wish them all the best and say thank you, and I hope we'll be able to do this again soon. And thank you all for coming. And it's been great to have so many people here and so much active participation. It's been really fun. Okay, so have a good weekend and see you soon.
Stay well and stay sane.
Sean, you're still there. Bye, Daniel. Bye. Okay, Sean, as
thank you very so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Sean, as you're the host, you have to close the meeting, okay? I can't hear you.
No, I was just sticking around to apologize for letting the breakout rooms go on for so long.
No. You know what? It was my fault completely because I didn't realize that only the host has control of the breakout rooms. I thought the co-host could do it as well. So I've learned something today.
But yeah, well, that's actually what I was talking with Jackie, saying that sometimes, like, I'm pretty, I think I'm pretty comfortable going in and being 98% ready or 95%, and I think those things, and you're like, okay, well now I know